What's up, everybody? I'm here with another book review. This time I want to talk about another book in the original Goosebumps series. This is Night of the Living Dummy 2. So, for those of you who don't know, I've actually been reading the Night of the Living Dummy books for the whole month of March. I've read the first one already, did a review for that, so I'm doing number 2, and I've actually already started on number 3, reading wise. I haven't finished number 3 yet. But this is number 2. I finished this probably about 3 or 4 days ago, and I just haven't gotten around to reviewing it. If you guys hear me cough or anything like that, I apologize. I am getting a little sick. I don't know if it's the spring weather or what, but yeah. I don't know if it's like pollen. I never really had trouble with that kind of stuff, but apparently I do now. But yeah. So I guess first off, I want to show you guys my editions of these books. First off, I have the one that Brandon Dorman did the cover for. This is the 2015 reprint edition. Not a great cover, but pretty scary, I guess, for today's standards. Not terrible. You got these paint marks all over the wall and Slappy peeking out of a closet. I mean, that's a little terrifying. And the next covers I have are all the same, cover wise, but they're just different editions. So I guess first I'll show you the 2008, I think, edition or 3. Yeah, pretty cool. You got a different little banner on the back. Pretty neat. And next I want to show you guys the edition that I actually had as a kid. So I remember as a kid, I got this book at a Goodwill, and it was just with a bunch of other books. And I was very excited to get it because, I think I read the first one at the time, and I was going to read number 2. And I do have a little funny story about this too, but this is the one that I had. It's actually a thin edition, very small. So I had a friend of mine that I was reading books with at the time, and I remember trying to talk him into like reading more books with me. He kind of outgrew them, and I still, read them years later. But I remember him. He said, "I haven't read the second Night of Living Dummy or something like that." And I remember he grabbed this book, but he said that he wanted to just read an original book, not this one. And I was like, "Well, this is an original one." But if you look, the 3, I don't know if it's gonna focus or not, but it looks like the 31. The one is actually bent over to here. So I thought that was kind of funny. He just thought that this was just not in the original series. But yeah, this is the book that I had as a kid. I remember reading this on a school bus years ago, and I remember not liking this and thinking that it had just a lot of repetitive things from the first book. And now it does have some repetitive stuff, especially number 3. Number 3, there is a lot of repetitive stuff so far. Not a ton, I guess, but yeah. But I remember not liking this book as a kid. But yeah. And now this is the final. This is the main one that I'll be holding up. This is the one from this is the one of the originals. I'm not sure this is like a first edition or anything. This is the main one in the collection. I just kept a thin one because that is the one from my childhood, and if I could hold on to anything like that, I am. But yeah, this is the. I think I recently got this like a couple years ago, like not even that long ago, I don't think. But yeah, it's a pretty decent condition. Yeah. And I do have some merchandise. I said in my last video for Night of Living Dummy, I think I do have a good bit of Slappy merchandise. So I'll show off what I got. And I'm not entirely sure if I'm just like not counting right, or maybe I was planning on just doing one piece of merch per book or something. But I don't think I have as much as I thought I did. But I guess I'll show you this first. This is the pop vinyl Night of the Living Dummy thing that I got. When did this come out? Like a year or 2 ago, I think. Pretty cool. Really like that. And I also got this thing here. I think this is a candy dispenser. I don't remember exactly what it does, but I know it's got a little hole there. I think it does something. I don't want to break it or anything, but got that. Got the Goosebumps logo on the back. I got this from a friend of mine a few years ago. So really cool. And I'm sure I have more merch, but I just don't recall. Like, I can't remember. I'm thinking that I do, but then the more I think about it, I'm like, maybe I don't have as much as I thought I did. But yeah, I'll end up finishing all the Night of Living Dummy books and then have a bunch of merch that I forget to show off. But whatever. So this is Night of Living Dummy 2. The story starts off with this girl named Amy. Her and her family, they have this thing called I wrote it down. Family sharing night, and I did take notes for this just in case. I was trying to remember the course of events in this book, but essentially you got Amy, her mom and dad, and her little brother and her sister. I think her sister's a little older, and they all have these little talents that they do for this family talent night. I don't remember exactly what day of the week it happens, but it just happens. Their dad, he cooks food for them, even though he can't really cook that good, apparently. And he sings, and they say he can't really sing either. Their mom tells stories, which I don't think that's really a talent, but who knows? But she tells stories, and everybody gets really engaged. And Jed, he like whistles, and I think he like burps the alphabet or something. He's like the goofy, younger sibling. And Sarah is a painter. She likes to paint pictures and murals all on in her room and all this cool stuff. So, and she's very talented. They say that she painted this thing that got accepted into this museum. And Amy's the one that says that she doesn't feel, or is the one that doesn't feel like she really fits in with all this because she doesn't have a lot of talent. She likes to tell tall tales and stories and stuff like that, along with her mom. And she also has this ventriloquist dummy named Dennis. And the ventriloquist dummy named Dennis, she's trying to get better with him, practicing with him, and making him talk and different things like that, tell jokes. And she goes out to bring him out there and do a little routine with him, and the head falls off. His head falls off. He and Dennis is like very old. She's had this dummy for years, and yeah, she's very upset about it. And everybody kind of gives her a hard time. They go to Sarah's room to look at her painting that she painted, and her painting is ruined with a bunch of smiley faces on it. This turns out to be Jed, who gets in trouble. And later that night, Amy's in her bed, and she sees a dummy head on her windowsill, and this turns out to be Jed doing this as well. So that's the essential like first part of the little story here. Um, Amy goes to her dad and she says that she wants a new dummy for, um, you know, to like to do routines with and stuff. And at first I think he says that he can't find one or they're too expensive or whatever. Same as the first book. Pretty sure that's right. Eventually we do get Slappy. The dad comes home one day and he has a dummy, and I actually like this part because he comes home with a dummy and he sets him down, and she opens it up and she's very excited. She's like, "What's his name?" And he's like, "Slappy. The pawn shop owner told me that was the dummy's name." So I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but in the first book, Slappy got his name from this girl. This girl says, "I'm gonna name him Slappy because he likes to slap people." That's it, and she makes him slap uh, somebody in that book. And in my head, I'm like, why is Slappy this iconic Goosebumps villain, and his name just came from this kid? Like he's supposed to be like thousands of years old. We don't get any origin or anything like that in this book. I don't remember actually which book we get the origin in, and I don't want to know. I want it to come as a surprise. I have a feeling it's probably in series 2000. I don't even think it's going to be a number 3. But yeah, um, so I do like that he actually got a name from, um, like it just kind of continues from that. So that's kind of understandable. Anyway, um, they start expecting Slappy, and Amy sticks her hand in there. She says that she feels his brain inside the dummy. She pulls her hand out, and her dad reaches in. And he pulls out a sandwich. It's like a moldy sandwich that's just been stuck in his head for so long. And they think this is weird. They inspect him some more, and they find a letter inside of his little coat pocket there, and it has these magic words or foreign words. And Amy reads them out loud, and Slappy gives her a wink, and he slaps her dad in the head. Her dad blames her, thinks it's like a practical joke or whatever. And yeah. So after this, things get a little weird. Amy goes to her sister's room to get some markers to do some kind of science fair project, I think. She goes upstairs or goes to her sister's room, and Jed asks, where are you going to your sister's room for, and she tells him, like, kind of mind your own business. They leave. Zara comes in there. She finds her room wrecked. Like, there's paint all over the floor. different things like that. And Amy says, I didn't do it, whatever. A little while later, um, that night, I think, she gets up and Sarah again sees that somebody wrote Amy all across her room. And they she grabs the dummy and she shows her parents that the dummy had like a paintbrush in his hand, and she's like, it's the dummy doing this. And it's basically, this is, I feel like, the start of you gotta believe me trope in Goosebumps, because it goes back and forth like this for a while. They talk about carrying her to a psychiatrist, and yeah, think that she's just kind of losing it a little bit, and yeah, eventually, oh, I do have to mention too that there's like a little subplot of this girl named Margot, who is Amy's friend, who invites her to a birthday party thing that her dad runs, where where she can come and perform with her dummy. Originally it was Dennis, but now it's Slappy, and she does. She gets grounded for all this stuff, but her parents say you can go do the whole dummy thing at this party house for your friend's birthday, or your friend's dad's birthday, or whatever. Their friend's dad's birthday thing that he owns, whatever. So they end up bringing the dummy there, and the dummy grabs this little girl's hand and squeezes it, and she eventually just gets Amy gets kicked out and tells her, just go home, and yeah. So after this, and this isn't a big reveal or anything like that, Slappy does come to life, and so throughout this whole book, I think hopefully I mentioned this. I don't recorded this video like 4 times, but I didn't like this book as a kid. I thought it was very repetitive and stuff like that, and Slappy's not very threatening, and that's what I initially thought. Like 70 pages in, Slappy, I mean, he does bad things, like painting on the wall, and you're not even sure if it's actually Slappy. Um, you don't know if it's like a whole jealousy thing, because there is like a little sub thing between her and her sister, one wanting to one up each other. But yeah, when Slappy does come to life, I do remember as a kid being a little freaked out about him like walking through the house and her following him. I do remember that scene a little bit, and this scene here is really good. And when Slappy does come to life, that's really all that matters, because he is actually kind of creepy. He's not, he doesn't really do much based on like what his motives are, just wanting people to be his slaves or whatever. But when he comes to life and she like locks him in a closet and he says, I'm gonna break the closet door down, and starts like hitting it and all that. I don't remember that part as a kid, but I felt like I should have, because that was actually terrifying. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about Night of the Living Dummy 2. I don't really have much else. But yeah, this was a fun one. At first I kind of felt like I liked the first one better, but the climax of this one I felt was a lot better. It was a little rushed. There is a twist with Sarah, um, that I didn't remember at all. Like, and I don't even remember hearing that ever brought up like at all in any of these book reviews or anything like that I've watched. At least I don't remember like seeing them at all. But that twist was pretty good. The ending was really great. Um, there is another twist. I'm not gonna say much about that twist, but yeah. Night of the Living Dummy 2 was a very fun book. I think that I like it a little bit better than the first one, but like by like a 0.1. Like like you can ask me tomorrow and I might say the Dummy 1 is better. I do plan on ranking all these books in the original series from least best to best uh years down the road. Hopefully not years, but whenever I finish the series up. And this is going to be a really big challenge just for the dummy books alone, because they're so similar, and you have to nitpick of what you liked and didn't like. But I do think Night of the Living Dummy 2 is a very solid read. I don't think it's perfect, but if you were to come to me and say this is your favorite Goosebumps book, I'd understand why. I give Night of the Living Dummy 2 a 4 out of 5 stars. That's it from me, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.